the major pieces that goes into this conversation is what type of activities help cultivate the Black Mama effect. So I want to start here.
Woman archetype is now being studied in psychology, and I just took a webinar on it, and it was very, very interesting. I want to share with you guys some things that I learned. Now, in this webinar, it said that a lot of strong Black women, quote unquote, right, they suffer from the John Henryism. Now, John Henry was a real man. He's a folk hero. Now, there's been conflicting reports on the accuracy of the story, but basically, John Henryism is a strong behavioral predisposition to cope actively with psychosocial and environmental stressors, meaning that you perform better in that kind of environment. You're pushed, motivated by that environment, and you cope better in that type of stressful situations. And you do that by exerting extreme determination in an effort basically to overcome the situation that you're in, right? The barriers. And this webinar says that a lot of Black women suffer from this. And it's also a very bad survival strategy, basically, because in the John Henry story, he actually died by continuing to do this. His heart went out and he died. It also says that a lot of Black women suffer from binge eating. Okay, that they don't feel like is actually an issue because of body positivity within the Black community, which they say actually hurts us because we don't believe that we're as big as we actually are. Depression, anxiety, and chronic stress. Allostasis is another issue that they say is really hurting Black women because allostasis is your ability to adapt to change, right? So they're saying that basically in homeostasis, your body is reacting to a stressor, right? And your body is doing what it can to calm down the heart, calm down the blood pressure, so on and so forth. But in allostasis, which they say a lot of Black women suffer from, they are just changing with the environment and desensitized to it. So instead of your body trying to lower the blood pressure, lower the heart rate, your blood pressure stays up, but you still learn how to maneuver in those stressors, right? So when you're dealing with racism, when you're dealing with poverty, when you're dealing with health conditions, instead of your body trying to calm itself down, you just learn how to live in that heightened state, which is unhealthy, which is also crazy to me too. Now, it also talked about how there's a belief that Black women are unlike any other woman, as well as some of the names that we're tagged with. Some of them are the angry Black woman, right? Too much aggression. The Jezebel, which is Black women are promiscuous and hypersexual by nature. And it talked about how when Black girls are over-sexualized, but then also Black girls will be victims of sex crimes and no one will believe them because they're already perceived to be hypersexual, right? Another one is the adultification and criminalization in childhood starting. We heard about the school to prison pipeline. That's a huge research project there. You guys should look into that. There was also the hypersexualization of childhood, the teacher bias, which we've heard about, right? Teachers don't really think that Black kids can perform well, so they don't really expect them to do so, which results in those kids being unmotivated. So it kind of ends up being like a self-fulfilling prophecy, unfortunately. Another one is that Black women are perceived to not show emotion, right? That they do not need anybody. And I have seen a lot of us have that kind of mentality. I had that mentality for a certain amount of time. And I think that comes as a trauma response of never having anybody. So you learn to adapt, which is kind of goes back to, right, that allostatic load, right? You feel like I haven't had anybody, so but just maneuver and make it despite me not having that. So really, really interesting. If you guys can find anything on the strong Black woman archetype, the research, definitely look it up, especially if you are a Black woman, because it's very eye-opening and educational. Might make you look at the way that you're living your life a little bit different, or the women around you.
That's wild. That is being studied. The behavior has made it to the point where it is its own study by itself.
And I think it's because even non-Black women have adapted that attitude, the masculine, the anger, because white women think it's cool. Everybody follows the Black woman. Let's be honest. The trends we set, whether good or bad, they're going to follow us.
True.
You know, the non-black women, they started with their bodies and things like that. They have the attitude. Everybody looks the same across the board. Everybody acts the same. They have developed the behavior. They want their black men. They want their accessory children. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Accessory.
it's starting to be women, you know, want to go against the grain, always want to be combative, you know, but wants protection, wants provision, wants finances, you know what I mean? Like,
wow, man, the one of the things that she brought up was parentification, and this is the video I had that went along with this.
Is that how can you really sit and look at yourself and say, I'm doing the best I can? No, your child over there doing the best they can, helping you raise your damn kids. Cause I'm trying to figure it. I'm trying to figure out how is it making sense to y'all. And people love to say, "Oh, you're judging." Well, baby, call it what you want to call it. Call it what you want to call it. Only God can judge me, but God didn't say let unrighteousness prevail. Somebody got to speak up. Somebody got to speak up for these kids. Cause why you think all these kids running around here acting like they ain't got no sense? Because they mamas and their daddies running around like they don't got no sense. If nobody's saying nothing to nobody, how we gonna fix the problem?
Yeah, I don't think it get much any plainer than that, but
it does not. Parents, I'm gonna say mamas, because y'all like love to brag that y'all doing it by yourself and your kid wouldn't have ABC if it wasn't for you. I think a lot of moms brag on. Nobody brags on well-behaved children, you know. Nobody's bragging that because nobody's raising that because the mama's not well-behaved, you know. When you have baddies and basketball wives and love and hip hop rotating every week, and that's you don't read no books, and you know what I mean. You don't eat well, and you don't get good sleep, and you overstress, and you giving every man who asks for it, who don't ask for it, or ask for it, a baby, and you just depleting yourself as a woman, as a mother. What do you expect to teach your children? Right. Apart from being destructive, apart from being disrespectful, when it's the program and it's the training that the children are receiving. The parents, mamas they love to say, oh, I grew up with my children, you know? They love to clown an old mom in the black community, older mother in the black community. They love to say they grew up with their children like that's a flex. Like, what did she say? So many black children, I have met so many black women that said they couldn't go to prom. I might as well have a baby since I'm raising kids anyways at a young age.
Yeah.
Mama leaving to the club, bringing more kids, never having to say so. But y'all daddies, maybe they want to be a part, maybe they don't. Even if it's sometimes in the black community when it's a good man that want to be there for his child, the mom don't want the help. So many black women parent out of ego. I'm going to just be honest. It's the truth. You'd rather your oldest daughter sacrifice her whole childhood to raise your kids when they got a black daddy that will do it.
That is crazy.
You don't want that nigga, but the child has to sacrifice. So many black girls didn't go to prom. So many black girls didn't have no senior year. So many black girls had to drop out, get a job, and help mama pay all her bills. For what? For nothing. I had a black woman tell me she moved out the country because she had to raise all her mama kids, and this is the only time she gets to feel free. But now she feel like leaving the country is the only way that she can get away from all this stuff. I'm like, wow, like it gets deep, it gets sad. It gets really disgusting. You know what I mean? And nobody ever going to talk about something that is not common and not normal. We have normalized piss poor mothers. Because even though mama was a crack fiend, she was a black queen. And that's how a lot of children feel about their moms. Like, angry at her, but why? Because she tried her best. But then they know for real, when you dig deep, you know your mama didn't try her best. You know it.
But I don't want my children back. It's not because I don't love them. I love them so much. I love them wholeheartedly. I love them beyond comprehension. But I don't want my children back. And I feel like I had to come over here because you guys are so sweet. And my DMs and my comments giving me reassurance that, oh, they're going to come back. They're going to, everything's going to work out and stuff like that. And I believe you. Like, everything is going to work out. However, I don't want them children back. And it's not because I don't want to take care of them or anything like that. I love taking care of them. I love raising them, but I don't want them back for another set of reasons. One, I don't have a support system. I have been raising these children with no support system. And when I say no support system, I'm not even joking. I don't have an emergency contact. When I take them to the doctor, I don't have an emergency contact. I don't have friends. I don't have family. I don't have, like, I take care of everything by myself. I don't have that. Okay? So that's one. Imagine me, one person, taking care of 3 children by myself with no support system, not even for an emergency contact. That's one. Second, I was manipulated into having my children. I was 9 months pregnant on my 21st birthday, and their dad was 33. Granted, I knew he was 32. I knew he was 12 years older than me when I met him. Or at least, like, in getting to know him, I knew he was 12 years older than me. But at 19 years old, I did not have the mental capacity and understanding to assess and realize that I was being manipulated into having children prior than I wanted to.
What do you got to say about that to this point? It's about a 6-minute video.
Personally, it's always coming off as shaming, but without shaming, I still believe we have to hold Black mothers accountable for generational patterns, parenting choices, and long-term effects of their children. And when I say generational patterns, I don't know this lady's backstory. For me personally, like I always say, in my personal life, the Black women are often more times the villain than Black men. So personally, I don't side with a woman just because she's feeding me bullshit. That's most of the, you know what I mean? She said 3 children. He's 12 years older. The thing about I was a young Black girl at one time, and I had friends that was 16 to 17 years old that was messing with grown men. Now, these men knew they were, even of age of consent, 18, 19, 20, because everybody knows, every young girl knows that older men is where the money at, the stability is. So she could say that she was manipulated. And of course, when your mama say, hey, I don't think you should be creeping with that guy, that's probably why you don't have the support system. Because y'all say, fuck you, mama. You know what I mean? This is my life. And then you look up, you have 3 children, you can't call your mom. It's a lot of that too, like a lot of young girls, what they always say, like they want to be grown so bad. They want to leave their mama house so bad. Understandable. I get it. I didn't grow up in a situation where I wanted to leave my parents' home. I didn't leave the home until I was 26 years old. That's when I got my first place. They let me finish college. They let me do my thing. Never rushing me out. Some Black girls leave at 17. Some leave before they leave. Some drop out of high school to leave their mama house. What I'm saying is we have to be accountable for our choices. It's people, 18-year-old of sound body and mind can sign up for the military. How are you telling me that you don't understand what's going on? Right is right and left is left. You know what a grown man wants, like anybody else. 18 is the age of consent. So
what the hell, bro?
You can't say I was 18, I didn't know nobody. I'm tired of I didn't know nobody better. Because keywords, generational patterns. If you saw your mama struggling, auntie them struggling, and the kind of men that they chose, unreliable. It's always like a man that's a womanizer, the man that every woman wants. Why would you repeat it? There's 2 things you could do: break the curse and say not my bloodline, or keep perpetuating it. And if you choose to keep perpetuating it, like I said, everybody can get on and watch reality TV. Everybody got that phone in their head 24/7. Start doing your research. We see the effects every day. When children don't want to listen to the teachers, when you tell them I'm gonna call your mom, they don't care. They know their mamas don't care. At a certain point, especially when you become a parent, I cannot feel sorrow for you or sadness for you more than I feel for your child. Because that's just disgusting. That when I always got to reiterate is that mama, she gonna throw her children under the bus before she accepts accountability.
Yeah,
they do it all the time when they're grown.
Man, look, I saw a friend of mine say a Black woman will let you hold her hostage before you hold her accountable.
Come on now, come on. They act like I understand about any age. People can manipulate you and things like that, especially the younger you are. I get it, but we make decisions. You didn't say 1 child, and I was young and I learned my lesson. 19 years old. You didn't say 2 children. I was young. I learned my lesson. You said 3. By myself. And 9 times out of 10, the situation don't change. You make your bed harder. You see this person is not helping with child number 1. you want sympathy now. You want us to feel sorry now. You can't always be the victim, baby. It is what it is.
Yep.
Now imagine you going to court and they got all this evidence against you. You telling the judge, but I didn't know. I didn't know. You know, I didn't know.
3 times.
You know,
you did it 3 times.
You know what I mean? The judge gonna say you stole 3 times. This is the 3rd time. I gave you 2 chances. Your Honor, I don't know. Your Honor, I was just, my fingers were sticky like that. We know what young girls seek out. Young women of young adults. We'll say that. Women that consent, adult women. Because when it's the reverse, nobody really comes after the woman. You know what I mean? When it's an 18-year-old boy, 19-year-old boy, 20-year-old boy, and the woman's 30-something, we don't blink twice in the Black community. We're going to keep it 1,000. We have to.
Yep. For real.
You know what I mean? So why can't a woman be old enough?
It does. What I never understand is, like, if you're the one that can get pregnant, shouldn't you safeguard your body better than what you do?
Absolutely.
If you're the one that can get pregnant, because, like, if a man throws his wallet on the ground and somebody picks up his wallet, they're gonna say you should have kept better possession of your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's in between a woman's legs is the same as a wallet. You can only blame yourself, who you opened your wallet up to, So, and to that point about the 3 times that she's had this situation repeat itself.
Most women don't know a man gonna switch up until it happens. Yes, you do. She said, "Oh, some men are wanting to be there until they realize the baby is a priority." Then you're not having a baby with a man that wants to be a father, and I guarantee you knew that. I guarantee you knew that. How was he treating you while you was pregnant? How was he treating you before? That's not how character works. You don't just wake up one day and say, "You know what? I'm gonna start putting your head through the washer and dryer." You already been aggressive before. You already been yelling before. Unless you got PTSD or that thing that the dudes get from football, like that is a brain, that's chemical, whatever the case may be. That's something you can't help. But if you was normal the whole time, you would be excited. There's a certain way that men act that want to be fathers. I see it with my own eyes. The dads that actually want to be dads, they're acting a certain way during, before, and after. You don't just switch one day and wake up and say, "Oh, the baby's getting all the attention. I'm mad. I'm leaving."
She's not lying.
and because I'm about to go back to the other video, and that's the point. When you start seeing women say stuff like this, one person speaks for quite a few people,
right?
Whether they want to accept it or not, and say, "That's just her." No, that you don't own your individual thought. You own your behavior and what you choose to do, but the thought is there. The thought is always universal.
Right.
So it was never my plan to have children at the age of 21. My plan was to finish college.
But you was having sex though.
And by the time I got my bachelor's degree, my son was 6 months old, and I found myself like putting off law school because I didn't want anybody else to raise him.
Who else was
I
going to raise
was manipulated into having those children. Third, which kind of goes with the second one, is one of the ways that this man manipulated me into having these children was using the whole line that, "Oh my gosh, he's the only person with his last name, and if he dies, the last name's going to go with him." I don't know why that was enough. But then again, I was extremely naive at the time. I was coming from so much abuse, so much trauma. I didn't know up from down, sky to ground, like whatever. So he was able to use that. And with that being said, I feel like if you want to continue your legacy, if you want to prolong your legacy, then take care of the children. Because over the last however long, this man have not contributed an increment of energy towards the well-being of the boys. Like, no financial support, no physical support, no nothing. But he wanted those children to be able to prolong his legacy. Why would I continue the legacy of a deadbeat? The only I don't even want to deal with this man, because right now he is on my phone. He's playing on my phone. I don't even know why he's playing on my phone, because you have the children. You wanted the children. I took them to you. You have their birth certificate, you have their social, you have them physically. There is no reason why you should be playing on my phone, but you're playing on my phone. Because at the end of the day, it was never about you having the children. It was about you having access to me. It was about you being able to get in contact with me. And I don't have time for that. Because this man is abusive. He's not physically abusive because I beat his ass. I fight back. But
what that lady said in the other video, he was already violent.
Okay, because I was gonna say I just caught her up in a little.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first part, she said I was manipulated, but then you turned around and admitted that you had a lot of trauma and abuse in your upbringing. So you was wide open and attention starved for love, anyways. So you're choosing your son's father. You didn't do it from a place of intention. You didn't do it from a place of long term, and you didn't do it from a place of stability, mental stability. You know what I mean? You chose your children's father, your son's father, from a place of brokenness, from a place of trauma, and you know what I mean, childhood trauma, from a place of being emotionally open and vulnerable.
She did it from a place of manipulation. This is a prime example of like not being healed, and then getting with somebody, and then even then her ego was starting to ooze through. Start talking about law school and everything else. You're smart enough to think about law school, but you weren't smart enough to close your legs with the wrong man.
Right.
You used him to get provision.
Right.
And then when he didn't like you anymore, or whatever worked out did or didn't work out in the relationship, because y'all had 3 kids together, now it's time to switch on the mindset of being a victim back to when you was 19. Now you want to act 19 after you done had 3 kids, you know?
And then you said you got your bachelor's, so you're educated. Then you said law school, but you were manipulated. It doesn't go hand in hand. Lawyer, that's supposed to be defending people. Manipulation. Come on now. You can choose when you want to be like you said.
If you can pick and choose when you want to be manipulated, it take a degree of ego, arrogance, and confidence to be an attorney of any sort. Because she was still flexing about how educated she was, but then she got manipulated too. You can't have it both ways. I'm sorry.
Right.
Come on, man. Get out of here with that.
But what the hell, bro?
He realized early on in the relationship that I had been through a lot, but I wasn't one of those people that went through a lot of stuff and became cold. I went through a lot of stuff and then grew in empathy. So because of that, my ability to empathize have been used as a weapon against me since the time that I met this man. Because one of the ways that he used it in the beginning was to use his mother's death as a way to connect. So I went as far as to even ask, like, because when I say I don't want to deal with this man anymore, like, I've been trying to erase any type of connection that we may have. Of course, I can't erase his children, but anything else I've been trying to erase. I set boundaries. I block him. He find ways to get on my stuff. I, at some point, thought about signing my rights over just so I never had to communicate with this man ever again. And I told the judge that. Because I am not going to change who I am for anybody. I am not going to harden my heart because someone like this want to try to weaponize my empathy, or want to try to weaponize the fact that I have compassion. So I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to harden. So I will just remove your access. So yeah, no, I don't want them children back. Like, I love my children. They will never need for anything. But the only way that I will go back to raising my children, and in a way that makes sense to me, is if one, I never have to interact with this man again. 2, I changed the children's last name.
That's selfish. I'm sorry. Everything she only mentioned the children in the beginning and in the end to get empathy. I feel like she also have a hatred that they boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the man. That's the real thing right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm glad that you snuffed that part out, because I've been saying that when we talk about mortality rates, there are more live births of boys than there are of girls.
Right.
And on the other side, when we start talking about abortion, so that means that there's probably more boys being aborted than girls.
Mm-hmm.
For that reason right there, in that particular video, that particular mindset of a woman that's not on good terms with the father of her children, and she just so happened to have boys, they just remind her of him. And that's part of the next video that's coming up.
Lack accountability for their actions, especially when it comes down to traumatizing their children. We can argue about it in the comments because I said what I said. Y'all know what y'all be doing. Y'all be having these kids by these men who don't be wanting them. Y'all be having these kids out of spite. Y'all have kids. Y'all be knowing that ain't your baby daddy. You know that ain't your baby daddy. Then you going to still name that baby after that man. And you going to go put him on child support. And you going to enforce the child support knowing that ain't your baby daddy. I can't stand no mess. Y'all some different kind of females. And I got a story for y'all, but I'm going to tell it. No, matter of fact, my grandma, she did that. And I don't know who my granddaddy is. Nope. I don't know who my granddaddy is because she done told that man that was his baby. That ain't even his baby. Kind of find out that it's this other man.
So that all of this is a cycle on the same frequency. When we start talking about when I bring up rule number 5, sexual discipline and everything that's around it, a lot of people thought I was just saying some stuff to just anger my audience, while I was really just trying to educate the people that follow my content, because there's a level of the like-mindedness and the willingness to do something that's this detrimental on a regular basis at some point has to be considered to be a mental illness.
Come on, man. Talk to the people.
Like we talk about sudden, sexually undisciplined dating decisions ending negatively. There's nothing. When you make emotional decisions, you're usually making the dumbest decision of your life.
Right.
And it is selfish at best, and it is selfish gratification. It's instant gratification, with long-term consequences. And nobody really wants to talk about it in the tone that it needs to be discussed. Because when we start talking about where does this originate? Everything still keeps coming back to the women in the family, not the men. Absolutely. Every time. Like when we start talking about teen pregnancy, that's why the mothers need to be on their daughters, bottom line. Because if they the only one that's there, then you the only one responsible. You don't get, if you want all of the credit, you're gonna take all of the blame too. Absolutely. So what you got to say about that?
That's the truth. I think a lot of women, they can always be the victim, and so many choose. Like, it just reminds me of like back in the day, when it was still a lot of 2-parent households. That the daughter is the good girls that's at church. Father may be a preacher, or your daddy is a blue collar brother. He working hard. White collar brother working hard, right? And you're sneaking out with the bad boy that cut school. You know what I mean? And right. You dishonoring your father. So it was a lot of that, just wanting to be in lust driven, And then it's also a lot of the women who never, pretty much, like, I think about Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? Because there was a point when she came to live with her mom, and her mom was like, "Oh, Anna Mae, I'm the only sinner in this house," And a lot of mothers like to say, "Do as I say, not as I do," not knowing that your child, how else will they learn how to, manage their anger or communicate or anything if they're not modeling your behavior and looking at you to emulate what you're doing?
Yep.
If you have a cycle and a circle of men every couple of months, every 90 days, you got somebody else and you're introducing them to your children, both your sons and daughters gonna think that's okay. If all your children in the household have different last names and they got different dads, they're gonna both think that's okay. Mm-hmm. And this is just it puts a strain on Black relationships because so many women think because they feel unhappy or that it's not Instagram worthy or that it's not making them feel good every day, that it's not worth it with a Black man. You know what I mean? It has been romanticized. If it's not making me feel like I'm on cloud nine every day, this is not love. They don't know what it is. They don't know what we had to overcome. You know what I mean? It's easier to say I want the benefits and I don't want, what did the first girl say? I'll take my kids back if I don't ever have to be with that man, if I don't have to see him again, for the rest of my life. Y'all lay down with these people. Y'all choose these people. Not only that, you choose to bring a pregnancy full term. Mm-hmm. 3 times, you hate yourself. Like, stop putting it on him.
Yep.
A lot of Black women can't be stable in a relationship because they feel like if I'm not turning up, I've lost myself. If I can't leave when I want to and dress like a whore, then I'm no longer myself. If I can't go on girls trips every weekend, oh man, a stay-at-home mom is it's so boring and he does nothing. And they make it seem like a traditional woman is slavery. You know what I mean? When it should be a badge of honor. Because so many Black women never got the opportunity to be stay-at-home moms. They was taking care of white women children, you know what I mean? And now that Black men are letting them have the ability to be stay-at-home moms, they don't want it. But let a Black man give that honor or that privilege to a non-Black woman, then they don't, oh, no, you know what I mean? They mad. Why are you mad? But you didn't want this assignment, though. You didn't want to do what it takes. Everybody wants to shy up, get real aggressive when we talk about submission or cooperation or listening. They get so aggressive when we say training. That a child has to be trained. Even in the Bible says that. Train them up in the way that they shall go and they won't depart from that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When people get a job, on-the-job training, they don't give no lip about that. Okay, we learning the job. When people go to the gym and lose weight or gain weight, you got to train your body to do that. Nobody gets confusion about that. But when we talk about training Black women for relationships, oh no, I ain't no slave. Oh, I'm not going to be with no cheater. My granddaddies was beating their grandmamas. Baby, you're not going to make that everybody's story. Because some people's grandparents was in love. And some people's grandparents was faithful. And some people's grandparents created life and legacy. And it's always fluff. And it's always foo-foo. It's never any logic behind it. But really, they say so much emptiness. They interrupt so many conversations because it's a shame. And it's embarrassing when you don't know where you're from. That's embarrassing.
Yep.
When everybody know their people and their kinfolk, she says she don't know a grandfather or a grandma. She don't know any men. She don't know her grandfathers. I know all 4 sides of my family. My mother's paternal side, my mother's maternal side, as well as my father's paternal side and my father's maternal side. And I feel blessed for that. Why should you only know your mother's family? That's not right.
Yeah. It's just wow. Mm-hmm. It is not conducive to a child understanding who they are. Like when you take those pieces away, you just create an identity crisis for them because you don't want to tell the truth about your promiscuous behavior from when you were younger.
Right.
Let's check the next one.
Know who my granddaddy is? Nope. I don't know who my granddaddy is because she done told that man that was his baby. That ain't even his baby. Kind of find out that it's this other man, but now he gone. So we can't even figure out if that's the granddaddy or not. And it's like, dang, you don't know who your granddaddy is on your daddy's side. Flip the coin. I don't even know who my granddaddy is on my mama's side. This is what I be talking about. Y'all are fucking up generations of kids because why I don't know who my granddaddy is on my mama or my daddy's side. And I ain't even trying to be funny. I'm so serious. Why? I can't even do the family tree in school, embarrassing as hell. Can't even do the family tree in school when you trying to do the family tree. You put your mama, you put your daddy, and then they like grandparents, and all you can put is your grandma and your grandma. And all you could put for her is the grandma and the grandma because they didn't know who their daddy was. Why y'all don't know who y'all baby daddies is? That's another thing that y'all being selfish about.
And she trying to be cute, she's trying to be funny, she's trying to laugh to keep from crying because you hear the hurt behind all that humor. You know what I mean? That's hurtful. That's hurtful when you don't know where you come from. It's hurtful how your mamas and them could really make the affirmative to lay down with somebody, don't know this man's name, don't know where he come from, don't know nothing that his seed is about to carry, but still go full term and deny your children their birthright, because it's their right to know their father. It's their right. When you know what I mean? And a lot of children, their mama tell them that their daddies didn't want them. A lot of black men don't know that they got no kids. You know what I mean?
Hold on.
Let's be really honest.
But what the hell, bro?
Hey, that's real. It's a bunch of people that don't know that they got kids. I definitely got a friend of mine that he didn't find out that he had a child until the mama called him when the daughter had turned, I want to say 8-9 years old. And that's just crazy to me, you know? And so the psychological input was already there. And she was already all her mother and whatever her experiences are. So by the time he got a chance to put his, like his spin, on parenting, it was only so much he could overcome, and she doesn't like men. So now she don't connect very well to him, and then even then it's only on a transactional level.
Right.
So, it take a while for that to stick. But like one of the things you said about the seed, not knowing anything about the man that they are, laying down with and then making their kids with, right? Then I found this because I'm gonna come back to a couple other videos.
1970 was helping out in a prison. He found that 42 inmates all traced back to the same great-great-grandfather. So he had to figure out what happened. So he dove in and did a deep study. He found that it traced all the way back to a guy in New York named Max Jukes. He was a bum, a thug, and a womanizer. He had 11 kids with a bunch of different women and a crazy life. And his stats over the 5 generations are insane. 310 people died as paupers, 400 drunks, 190 prostitutes, 150 more criminals, and 7 murderers. But wait, it gets even crazier. Then he compared it to another family at the exact same time. His name was Jonathan Edwards. Also had almost a dozen kids. And he lived right near him. He was a teacher, he was a pastor. And here is their next 5 generations. 13 college presidents, 65 college professors, 75 military leaders, 80 public servants, 60 authors, 60 doctors, 30 judges, 100 more pastors, 100 lawyers, 3 U.S. senators, and a U.S. vice president. Parents do not realize that the decisions that they make today have ripple effects for generations to come. It's more about what we leave in our kids than to them.
It's crazy, right?
I believe it. Absolutely.
Yeah, like that is crazy, because the long-term effects of just that gene. That's why I talk about like sexual discipline in the families that have the least and they have the most promiscuous behavior. They usually had a promiscuous father and obviously a promiscuous mother. And that's what makes them compatible in most cases.
Right.
And even if they weren't necessarily promiscuous, they were in some level of psychological vulnerability where they can be in connection with somebody that's going to manipulate them and not do right.
Right.
So they end up manipulating themselves, So, but what do you think about that?
I agree. When I was in college, it was like a family, like a generation timeline for your family. That was a course, like family generational trauma or something like that. And our book for the semester was called All God's Children. And it was about this black man named Willie Boskett. Willie Boskett III, I believe, or Jr. But it was the white reporter that wanted to go to the prison because he was locked up. He wanted to do a family tree. Like, I want to see if this behavior is in, I want to go back for you. And, Willie helped him with the family tree. To make it a long story short, when he went back 4 generations, Willie's great-great-grandfather was a slave named Aaron. Aaron ended up getting into a car crash he was drunk. You know what I mean? His great grandpa got into a car accident drunk. Alcoholism running their family. They was very intelligent, brilliant men. All got sexually abused as young men from mothers' boyfriends. Mothers were promiscuous. Mothers didn't know. It was just a lot of trauma. But all 4 generations, and all their mothers despised them. They pretty much was all raised by misandrists. And it's just funny that you say, funny that we don't take seriously. My dad always told us, like, everybody DNA should have mixed, and I'm just like, I didn't understand for so long. But then now you really understand everybody's DNA should not mix.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It reminds me of when you take chemistry class and you have the Bunsen burners. Go ahead and mix the wrong chemicals if you want to. You're going to explode the whole classroom. And people don't think that's how DNA works. This is science we're talking about.
Yep.
Sometimes, shoot me, you know what I mean? Y'all be getting really offended about a lot of things, but I sometimes believe that sometimes miscarriages because the DNA not supposed to mix. I really do. or when like, women be like, oh, we've been together all these years and no kid. It's the reason you got to take heed, because when God finally give you what you want, y'all be drowning. You don't really want that.
But what the hell, bro?
Hey, look, it's true. We think about what's so wild is that even personalities don't mix.
Mm-hmm.
Even activities don't mix. Meaning, like, if your significant other is a librarian and you on the other end are doing some other field that clashes with that, that's going to impact the way that you guys' relationship is going to go.
Right.
And at some point, it comes down to somebody has to sit down. Somebody has to take, a different role or figure out a new career or something like that. We lean too much on the word should. I've said this before. Everything on the other side of that word implies that everything must be perfect.
Right.
And we think because we like the characteristics of something and we're willing to do what it takes to be in that connection with them, that everything else should work just because you like each other, in a short span of time.
Right.
And that's why we need to use should as a warning instead of using should as, like some affirmation,
Right.
Because that's a very dangerous word, because it creates a lack of accountability when the wrong people have it, because they make a lot of assumptions out of the wrong people. All right, folks, appreciate you sticking with me to the end. This has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Go get the book. And most importantly, I will see you beyond the algorithm, because that's where life actually happens.